Hope you brought a change of undies. Things are about to get spooky. It's the Halloween edition of the Brian and Sherry Show.
Oh, thanks, Josh. Yep, so spooky. I can't get over that opening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show. Another spooky edition of our show. But anyways, I am joined with my co-host, Sherry Johnson. I've lost. Go ahead, Sherry. I'm lost for words at the moment.
Oh, it's okay. I had to keep. I just got done laughing from the opening. You guys, I can't get over the beginning of that. I hope everyone brought a change of their panties. It's hilarious. Undies, whatever. I was laughing so hard. I'm just all confused right now. Anyways, hi everyone, and it's so nice to have everyone joining us tonight. And of course, our special guest we'll get to in just a minute. So Brian, how are you this week? How's everything been?
Everything is going fantastic. So far, so good. I'm just not getting over this weather. I'm not liking the weather. It's fall. So the other day we were in the 80s. The next day we were in the 70s. Right now it's raining because we're getting some of the rain from Hurricane Michael. And then tomorrow is supposed to be in the, 50s. And then Saturday is supposed to be in the 40s.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's just dropping. Stop.
I know it.
I don't want the cold weather yet. I don't mind, it being cool. It's fall. I like enough to where I can wear a hoodie or a light sweater. But I am not ready for this really cold weather. Hats and mittens, no.
Let it come. Hello, everyone on Facebook Live. You got Daniel Payton. Hello, Karen Shaw. My aunt is watching. Both my aunts are probably watching. My grandmother. We got Jeremy Knox watching. Amanda Wyman. Hello, Diane. Hello, Diane. Jennifer. Hello to Jennifer. And of course, Sherry Clip. We're missing a couple more people, but they'll show up pretty soon here. So obviously everyone knows that tonight is a spooky edition of our show. That's what we're doing this month. Brian and Sherry's Spooky October. So far we've been talking with different types of people with the whole theme of Halloween and everything. Last week we spoke with psychic medium Diane Pate, who is in our chat room right now, watching us. Hello, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
And then tonight, of course, we wait for it all year to come around. We're going to be talking with Sylvia Shults, who to me is like a jack of all trades. Because she's an author, she's a paranormal investigator, she likes to do speeches, she works at a library, which is no surprise. Being an author, get it? Yeah. And hello to Crystal Scrivens. Hello, welcome, everyone. You're tuning into a great show tonight, just like last week. So I'm very excited to see what she's been up to. So how are you doing? What's your week been like?
Oh. And she was going to walk around and ask other kids if they brush their teeth after eating Halloween candy. So I don't know. It's kind of a crazy thing. But, yeah. And, we're trying to convince her to be something else. But it's funny. Brian, is everything okay?
Yeah, it is now. You know me. I push buttons without really paying attention sometimes on the computer. Yeah, so for the past probably a minute or so, I accidentally muted the show, so anyone listening wasn't able to.
That's good.
Yeah,
Real good. A talk show silence, yeah.
Pretty much. pretty much. We're back
and
on.
they can't see me, so you were sitting there making all these faces and expressions, and they don't know why.
Well, Facebook Live can see and hear us, but the show, radio show, was on mute.
Oh, the radio. Oh, okay. So if you guys want to know what was said, you got to go on Facebook and check it out.
That's right. There you go. And for those watching us right now, and I'm talking to you, don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, your family, even your enemies. So, because they need to laugh too. So, yeah. Hello to my Aunt Val. Hello. Everyone is saying hello. Yes, Dan. Sylvia is here. Oh, he says, is that Sylvia I hear? Yes.
It is.
Yeah, there she is. So.
And Brian, it couldn't be a better day because today on our check-a-day list is Myth and Legends Day.
Oh.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
You have Sylvia on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we have a lot of things that we have to discuss, but we'll wait until after the show. But I just want to remind everyone that we're kind of in between trying to figure out what we're going to be doing for a Halloween show, like the Halloween show. Normally it was Sylvia Shults was the Halloween show, but unfortunately we had to do the show a little bit earlier, but that's okay. It's still going to be a good show. So I have to come up with something because people are wondering, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know what to do. Well, you have ideas, folks. So if anyone has any ideas.
We got ideas, Brian. Don't you worry.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions for Sylvia Shults, please post them on Facebook or in the Facebook Live. Sherry or I will get to them because we're both watching the Facebook Live feed. So I will make sure to ask Sylvia all your questions. So obviously she's already here, so we're going to welcome Sylvia Shults once again to the show.
Yes, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I was looking through all my show postings and whatnot, and I realized that this is the 8th time that I have been a guest on the Brian and Sherry show.
Woo! Awesome!
Yeah. I should have waited until like show 10 or something, but I was just so excited about that. So I thought I'd share it.
We love you, so that shows right there.
Yeah. And I was driving home from work today, and I was thinking about the coming up show and what I was going to talk about and everything and how much fun it's going to be. And I thought to myself, what a strange and wonderful thing this is. It's just going to be, the three of us friends sitting around talking about ghosts, which is something we all love so much. And, it's just the fact that there are thousands of people listening in on our conversation.
Pretty much.
True. That's
which is fine.
Yep.
Let me feedback.
Oh.
It's just a little.
I'll turn it down.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. Okay. So, I know you're working on a couple of things. I know you can't go into great detail about them, but I'm pretty sure you always talk about something. So, and I know you've been up to a lot of stuff. So, what have you been up to since the last time we spoke? In a short period of time.
My goodness.
In a short period of time.
Sorry about that. My phone's blowing up with people that are on the Facebook page chiming in, which is wonderful. Hello, everybody. So, yes, I am working on several different projects. I hope to have one of them out by, middle of next year or so. I will say this. For those who don't know, I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but I will say that I kind of underestimated the time that it would take to find 366 true ghost stories with a date attached. So that's your clue to what I'm working on next.
Neat. Sounds
yeah,
like big book.
Oh, goodness gracious. So yeah, and I am also working on, people who have tuned into the show before know that I also do a podcast of my own called Lights Out. And I was toying with the idea. It's not come to fruition just yet because I have to rely on somebody else for part of it, and she's a bit slow. But I am working on putting together a coloring book with scenes from Lights Out shows and stories.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, people are going to love this. The person that I have to wait on, the artist that I'm working with, is actually my sister, who is incredibly talented. And we had a family reunion. You guys remember I called in to do the show from the family reunion a couple of years ago, and it was the same place and everything. And she showed me she had gotten 2 of the pictures done, and they are stunning. Lots and lots of detail. It was just exactly what I was hoping for. So she's going to do a really good job with the artwork, and I'm going to do a good job with the storytelling, and I think people will really like it.
Wow, it's great. I got to get one when it's done.
I'll keep you guys posted. Knowing my sister, I have no idea when it's going to be done, but she's having fun working on it, and I'm having fun looking forward to it.
That's really great. Best of luck with that. Yeah.
Now, I have a question, and my question is, where would anyone go to listen to your podcast, Lights Out, or episodes of your podcast, Lights Out?
Oh, that is an excellent question. They are on YouTube if you want to see the pretty pictures. And you can also find Lights Out episodes wherever podcasts hang out, like Spotify and iTunes, and Apple has it too. And somebody mentioned a couple places that they'd seen it, and I don't remember where they are. But pretty much anywhere you can pick up a podcast, Lights Out is on there.
Nice.
Yeah, so go to the YouTube channel, like it. That would be wonderful. And then you can listen to the podcast and look at the pretty pictures.
Neat.
So,
Awesome.
and if you just prefer the podcast, you can go to iTunes. And I've tried to make differing lengths of shows. So some of the shows are 15 or 20 minutes long, and some of the shows are an hour long, and people tell me they really like the hour-long format. So I'm very gratified to hear that people want to listen to me natter on for an hour. It's not just me nattering on for an hour. It's people telling me their stories. So, and while we're talking about the Halloween season and everything, I'm going to have the Halloween episode for 2018 of the Lights Out podcast, and it is going to be, it's wonderful. I went to a convention earlier this summer, and I met a guy who he belongs to a group called Ghostbusters Peoria, and it's these guys. They have an ectomobile. They dress up as Ghostbusters. They even have proton packs and whatnot. And they show up at charity events, and they raise money for charities, which is super cool. And this guy came over to my table, and we started talking, and we got to talking about ghost stories. And he actually, his father grew up in a haunted house, and he was telling me stories about his father and his grandparents, and I said, oh my gosh, you have to be my Halloween show. This is great stuff. So I'm really looking forward to putting that together and getting that out. It's probably going to be, I think I set it to post the Friday before Halloween. I think that's the 27th. So people can enjoy that and get into the Halloween spirit.
Awesome. Daniel Payton just mentioned that he has met them at the Comic-Con in Knoxville. He said, that they were talking about the Peoria Hospital.
Yeah, neat. Fantastic.
Awesome, Dan.
Yeah, they've been out there. I think the last time they were out there for the haunt was 4 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 4 years ago, because every haunted house in Illinois that year had trouble with the fire safety inspection, because they were cracking down really hard several years ago about haunted houses having sprinklers in them. So we usually have the haunted house in the Pollak Hospital at the Peoria State Hospital, the tuberculosis ward that I've talked about so many times, which is such a wonderful place. So we usually have it in there, but that year, I think it was 4 years ago, we did not get the sprinklers installed in time, so we couldn't have it in the building. The fire safety people wouldn't let us have it in the building. So we were lucky enough to have land right next to the hospital that's a forest. And this is actually a forest that's laid out in kind of a grid pattern. And the reason is Dr. Zeller wanted, going to get into the history a little bit, but I know people like that too. Dr. Zeller wanted the Peoria State Hospital to be a welcoming, beautiful place. So he had landscape people come in and create these beautiful gardens, and he had trees in reserve. He had plants in reserve. So that forest that we did the haunted house in dates from 1902, from the very beginning of the Peoria State Hospital, and that's the reason the trees are in marching lines, because that's how they were planted on purpose, so that they could provide material for these gardens for the Peoria State Hospital. So that's a neat little bit of history there. We turned it into a haunted forest. It was wonderful.
There you go.
Yeah. And my job was to lean up against a tree and pretend to be a mannequin until somebody walked by, and then move and scare the paste out of them. It was wonderful. A lot of fun. I had some girl come up to me and say, "I don't think this one's real." She found out pretty quick that I was real. When I jumped and yelled boo. It was great.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that sounds like so much fun. I would love to be one of those people up against a tree. I'd just be afraid of getting punched or something. I don't know. I heard
they always do say.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a danger of working as a scare actor, is sometimes people overreact. I have the most wonderful story. This was not at this haunt. This was a summer haunt that we did a couple years before that, and this was actually in the Pollak Hospital. There's a big yard next to the hospital building where they had a screen set up, and they were showing a double feature of, I don't even know what movies they were. I think they were Halloween and something else, but a couple of scary movies. And they encouraged people to come with sleeping bags and lawn chairs and just hang out on the lawn and watch these scary movies. And during the intermission, we did what we call a hall haunt, which is just, there's a long hall right down the middle of the building, and people went through that hall, and we had scare actors on all throughout the hallway. So I got to be a part of that. It was wonderful. I was dressed in a really raggedy, icky dress, and I had a bloody dummy in my lap, and I was sitting there crooning and petting the dummy's hair and making much of this dead body that was laying in my lap. But we had a young man come through. He couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. But I don't know if he was somewhere on the autistic spectrum, but I don't know if he should have been going through a haunted house, but he wanted to at first. So his mom took him through. And this poor little kid was quite overwhelmed during the first 10 feet of the haunt. So he spent the rest of the haunt with his fists clutched in his mother's T-shirt, and his head buried in the small of her back. As she walked down the hall, he walked right behind her with his face buried in her shirt, saying, "Let's just be nice, let's just be nice, let's just be nice," over and over and over again. So we took it easy on him. We didn't jump out at him. So we have fun when kids come through.
I want to go to one so bad, Jerry. We need to get out there.
You do. You need to come and visit me.
I know.
I'll show you all the wonderful hot spots at the Peoria State Hospital. I'll introduce you to Chris.
Now, who's Chris? I remember
Chris
you.
Yes, I've mentioned Chris before. There's a friend of mine who likes to call Chris my fake dead boyfriend because Chris has decided that he likes me very much. The reason is that I remind him of someone he knew when he was alive. We finally realized, I finally got a psychic medium down there with me, whose name is also Diane, and I was able to have a conversation with Chris by doing this, and we discovered that the reason he likes me so much is that I remind him of his sister. We discovered that the last year he remembers is 1905, and he said something that just almost made me cry. He said that the Peoria State Hospital was known for having a lot of social activities for the patients. They had a movie every Friday night. They had a dance every Saturday night. They had a ball game every Sunday afternoon in the summer after church services. But he said we could hear the music coming from the other cottages on Saturday nights when they had the dances, but we weren't allowed to go to the dances because we were under quarantine. And I just felt so bad hearing him say this through Diane that I decided that I was going to do something nice for this poor kid who had died in 1905 and had had no fun since. I recorded some ragtime music on my phone, and the next time we came down to the basement, I played this ragtime music for him. And Diane said he was just tickled to bits with this. He said, no one's ever done that for me before. So I was so grateful that I was the one who had the idea to make this kid's day. Probably make his decade, because nobody ever plays music for him downstairs in the basement. And the next time we went down there, I had another surprise for him. At the library where I work, we have DVDs that are dance instruction DVDs for all sorts of historic dances, from Baroque all the way up to 60s salsa or whatever. So we have a DVD of ragtime dances. So I taught myself a ragtime dance, and I recorded the music for it, and I recorded myself giving myself instructions in case I forgot what steps there were. I did okay, and I warned Chris at the beginning of it. I said, I'm okay dancing by myself because that's the style these days, is to just not dance with a partner. You can dance with somebody else, but not really with a partner. And I said, if I'm dancing with a partner, I'm just rubbish at it, so please forgive me. I'll do the best I can. So I stood there and I pretended that I was dancing with somebody. I just couldn't see them. So we got to the part of a dance that there's a spin, and for the several beats that the spin was going on, and I accidentally spun forward instead of backward. And Diane was sitting in the corner of the room watching, and she said, he said, stop trying to lead. And I realized what I was doing. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I am trying to lead, aren't I? And I reversed course and started spinning backwards so that he could actually lead. So that was fun. Maybe it's one of those things that you had to be there, but it was fun. So I'm very, very grateful to have given him that experience of getting to dance with a pretty lady after all this time.
Awesome. Now, if my memory serves me right, Chris is the one. Now, he's only when you go downstairs in the basement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He seems to prefer staying in the basement. I am not really sure why. We asked him, and he kind of gave us the idea that that's someplace he was familiar with. When he was at the tuberculosis clinic, it wasn't the Pollak Hospital. It was the tent colony for the care of TB patients. So it was on a different level. I mean, they built it up to build the building, the present building. That's like the third incarnation. There was the tent colony first, and then there was kind of a bat wing-shaped building on that property. And then in 1949, the Pollak Hospital was built, and then it opened in 1950, and that's the building that's there now. So that's actually the third incarnation of a building that's been there. But that would not have been the building that he knew. He's probably still picturing the tent colony where he lived and died.
Right, yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Yes, I'm going to have to meet Chris. So.
Yeah.
I got to get out there. Oh, my goodness. Well, and the other thing is I'm trying to get my map straight here because we just learned that Daniel is moving to, was it Wisconsin? Is that where he's moving to? Sherry? I think it was Wisconsin.
Okay.
I don't know if that's close or whatever to Illinois. I don't know, whatever.
Wisconsin is just north of Illinois.
Okay, well, we got to get out there.
Directly north.
Yeah, I have to get out there.
Yeah, we share quite a bit of our northern border with Wisconsin.
Okay.
All of it, I think.
Michigan.
Actually.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Michigan.
Yeah, little bit of Michigan. Yeah. Okay, Michigan is northeast of us. The Great Lake of Lake Michigan is the one that's kind of shaped like a squash.
Yep.
And that kind of comes down into that. It forms half of the eastern edge of Wisconsin and comes down a little bit into Illinois as far as Chicago. And then it shares its northern, the lake's northern border is Michigan's southern. No. The lake's eastern border is Michigan's western edge. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm kind of rubbish with directions too, but that's fine. So yeah, Michigan is not that far away. I mean, it's within a day's drive to get there. It's a few hours.
Oh, that's
not too bad.
Huh. Yeah, I definitely have to get out there somehow. I'm still working on ways to get out there. I think I need to wait for tax.
Yes.
Jerry.
You have to see also the Peoria Hospital Museum, which is the firehouse where you and Sherry spent an eventful fictional evening.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember. All too.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. Because I think I had a problem with gas, Sherry. Isn't that story? Yeah. Yeah, I remember that story. I love that story. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were just told we couldn't damage you. We weren't told we had to be nice to you.
All right. Yeah, that's right. I can't die. Yeah. I remember that. But that was a good story. So, yeah. I'm going to have to post it on Facebook for people to see or buy or do whatever. So, yeah. And then I whoa. Hello. What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting.
No. Oh. Talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are.
I'm still here. I can hear you.
I lost you guys for a minute.
Uh-oh.
It's all good.
Well, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're back.
Yeah.
We have so many people watching. Cindy Howe, hello. Who else? Patrick.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, we got so many people. And people I've never seen before, which is pretty cool. So everyone, welcome. We're talking to Sylvia Shults. The famous Sylvia Shults from Illinois. So I hear that you were in Las Vegas.
I was. I took a trip out there in January to visit my sister, who moved out there a couple years ago. And she's always been very independent and never ever wanted to get married, nothing like that. She just thought that was silly. So a few years ago, she actually reconnected with her high school boyfriend, who ended up in Las Vegas with a couple of three kids, and she up stakes and quit her job and sold her house and moved out to Las Vegas. And next thing I know, she had married him. Oh. And she called me up on the phone and told me this, and I said, "Who is this, and what have you done with my sister?" So yeah, that was an interesting journey that she took herself on. But anyway, I went out to visit her in January because I needed some sun, and Las Vegas, being a desert, has wonderful amounts of sunshine, and it was really a treat to go from Illinois in January to Nevada in January. I was listening to you guys talking at the beginning of the show, and I feel your pain. I am not ready for cold winter yet. Hoodie weather is acceptable. Bonfire weather and hot apple cider weather is acceptable, but mitten weather, no, I'm not ready yet.
No.
So anyway, I decided I was going to go to Las Vegas, and just as soon as I had decided that, I said to myself, Sylvia, I just bet there are ghost tours of Las Vegas. And I was right. So the first evening I got there, I went on a Vegas ghost tour. I knew my sister would not be interested at all. She's far more sensitive than I am, but she always tends to pick up on the sadness part of things. And it weirds her out. She has no idea why I go ghost hunting. She thinks it's kind of silly and dangerous. And she may not be wrong, but it's not silly. I enjoy it very much, but she just absolutely can't understand it. So I just didn't even invite her. But I did invite my other sister, Miriam, who is the artist who is doing my coloring book. So she and I went on this ghost tour. It was just the two of us and the tour guide, and he told us all sorts of wonderful stories about Las Vegas and the hauntings on the Strip, and we just had a blast. We learned about the ghost of Bugsy Siegel. Bugsy was, of course, a gangster, one of the golden era of gangsters with Bugsy Siegel and Lucky Luciano and Dion O'Banion and, of course, Al Capone. So Bugsy was he was going from Chicago to Las Vegas, or to Los Angeles, rather, and he happened to stop in Las Vegas, which at the time, in the late 1930s, was a dusty cow town. Not much going on except for the fact that the Hoover Dam was being built several miles away. And the guys who were working on the Hoover Dam would come into Las Vegas, which was only about 3 decades old at that point. It was founded in May in 1905. So they would come into Las Vegas and they would visit the gambling dens. They were still gambling even in those days, and they'd drink and they'd go out and looking for female companionship, and they found all of this in Las Vegas. So Bugsy decided, hey, this is a pretty sweet little setup. I think I'm going to get in on this. So he bought a casino from another guy and started pouring money into it, and he started asking the mob for money to renovate this casino. Well, he started putting lots and lots and lots of money into this casino to the tune of several $1 million, which was quite a chunk of change, especially for the early 1940s. So he finally got this hotel opened. And he invited all these movers and shakers from LA and movie stars, people that he thought would bring cachet to this new casino that he opened. And unfortunately for Bugsy, the casino wasn't finished yet, and he was still borrowing money from the mob and pocketing quite a lot of it. And the mob found out about it. And B, the casino opened, the Flamingo Casino opened on a very rare rainy night in Las Vegas. So he didn't have very many people show up, and he lost money on that opening. And the casino stayed open, and it started making a little bit of money, but it wasn't enough for the mob. The mob was like, you know, you had your chance, and you blew it, and you stole money from us, and that won't stand. So on June 20th, 1947, Bugsy and his girlfriend, Veronica Hill, they were on vacation at Veronica's house, mansion in Bel Air. And there was a sniper that showed up to the property, and he set up right outside the great big picture window in the living room, and Bugsy was sitting in the living room reading the paper. And the sniper took aim, and he fired, and he shot both of Bugsy's eyes out.
Oh, gee.
That's mob justice for you. They later found Bugsy's eyeballs in different corners of the room. So, yeah, don't mess with the mob. Yeah. So you wanted spooky for Halloween. There you go. Yes. Bugsy does still haunt the place where the Flamingo used to be. There's a beautiful garden, quiet by Las Vegas standards. It's kind of tucked away in a little garden area in the middle of all these hotels that are all around. And there's a little monument to Bugsy Siegel in the middle of this garden. And the groundskeepers, there are begonias, which is a very tender little plant. There are begonias planted at the base of this statue. And you'd think the begonias would do great in the heat of Las Vegas, as long as they get enough water, which, you know, it's, the groundskeepers, that's part of their job, is watering all these plants. But these begonias need to be replaced every several days, about every 4 or 5 days or so, because they freeze. It is so cold there with Bugsy's spirit hanging around that the begonias actually freeze and have to be replaced.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Fun stuff. And people have seen a guy in 1940s gangster attire with a beautiful long-legged woman next to him, which would be Veronica Hill.
Huh.
So.
Interesting. Yeah, good thing I'm not going out there anytime soon.
Oh, it was wonderful. Lots and lots of fun.
Scary. If I felt like this cold breeze come by me and it was a spirit, I'd totally freak out. I don't know, I'd go running. I wouldn't be able to make it through, I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Spooky stuff.
I would just turn around and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Well, you're used to this sort of thing. I don't.
Well, yes, yes. I actually go out looking for this sort of thing.
yeah. You go out looking for it. I go running from it. Brian, how would you deal with that? What would you do?
Well, at the very moment, see, it's funny because last week on the show when we were talking to Diane, people on Facebook Live can see me, and behind me I have my bathroom door. So the bathroom door kept opening and closing. I don't have any windows open. I don't have any. So we didn't know exactly. But everyone on Facebook Live, your door is moving. But I noticed it myself. Tonight, however, everyone is fixated on a box of tissues that is right here, and they notice that the tissue keeps moving. So, I'm not seeing it move now. I don't have anything open. There's no vents or anything. People are asking me if I have vents or windows or anything. There isn't. So it's very strange. But I keep going. I just keep looking behind me because you never know.
It's weird. I have seen it move since you've been talking, but it stops and it's like perfectly still, and it's almost like a vent blew on it. And then you weren't even facing it when it happened, so I don't know.
No, I'm just sitting here, and people are like, "There's tissues moving." I'm like, oh.
It's a miniature ghost, and it's looking for a sheet.
Yeah, right. I don't know because
I got nothing.
We've only done a ghost hunt once, Sherry.
Yeah, we have.
So I was.
And Brian, something happened, and what did I do? I left.
We all know. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I explained because if people are interested in wanting to know what happened on Sherry and I's ghost hunt, which were with other people at the time as well, so there was about 6 or 7 of us all together. So we all experienced the same thing. So it's not just 1 or 2 people, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. 5 people, okay. But what happened is it just got to the point where Sherry just didn't want to deal with it anymore because we all heard the same noise, and it sounded like that heartbeat, that pounding at the end. So Sherry's like, "Yep, we're done, out." And and we didn't hear it anymore until we had left the cemetery that we were actually in. When we reached the road, you just didn't hear it anymore.
No,
it was
weird. It sounded underground, like it sounded like someone in a coffin banging on it, underground. And it was like our feet. And we were in a cemetery, and I'm like, Brian,
yeah,
we're done. We are done.
Yeah.
And it was strange, Sylvia, because we took a lot of pictures that day, and I came back, and I do have a picture with some strangeness in it. And I don't know how to describe it, right? What would you say?
I don't know. I don't remember the picture.
It's a picture with like the black behind you.
Almost
Is
like
it
those.
A mist or a shadow, or what was it?
It was
like a black shadow.
Yeah, it was a black, almost like a black figure, but it was just like there but not there. You know what I mean? But
I wonder, can I post it? I wonder. I'll try and post it as you guys are talking.
Yeah, post it on Facebook so that way she can see it on Facebook or whatnot.
We also had a audio that came through of a child talking, and we're all adults there. There was no child there, and there's no one's voice that could even duplicate what this child was talking. So it come through 5 times, really clear, and he says his name was Samuel Barnum. And we make it out very clear. And I looked it up online, and it was actually the first child that was buried in the cemetery. His name was Samuel Barnum.
No way.
He was 13 years old. And it really has shocked me ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot.
I mean, not cool that he died at 13 years old, but that you got that name. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Where there was an old sign that stated who everyone was that was buried in the cemetery, and the graves had fallen over and been what would you call eroded away by weather. You couldn't read whose names they were, and on the sign you couldn't read what they were either. So it was kind of neat. He came through, and then when we did our investigation online, it said Samuel Barnum was actually the child that was first buried in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
A lot of.
Well, you guys know I'm so much about the history of the place, and that's just as fascinating to me as the ghosts. Oh wow, that is so neat.
Yeah, I'd love to share that sometime with you. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I have a cemetery story too. The last weekend, I went up to the LaGrange or the Chicago suburbs, northern Chicago suburbs. I started off October with a bang. On Friday, I did a presentation at a library up there, and on Friday night, I went to the Barnes & Noble there. Saturday, I had a conference all day in DeKalb, and on Sunday, I went to Six Flags in Gurnee with a friend of mine, and she pointed out all the haunted hotspots in Six Flags, which was super fun. So on my way, driving to Six Flags from LaGrange, which was where I'd spent the night at my aunt's house, so I'm driving through, driving on Wolf Road, and I'm coming up to a stoplight, and on my left, I see this beautiful cemetery, great big gorgeous gates, and then I see the sign. It's Queen of Heaven Cemetery. And I'm like, holy cats, it's Queen of Heaven Cemetery. And then right across the road on the side past the street light, the stoplight, I see another cemetery and another sign. It says Mount Carmel Cemetery. I said, double holy cats, it's Mount Carmel Cemetery. This is amazing. I did not know they were right together. So the lore is Queen of Heaven Cemetery is the site of an apparition of the Virgin Mary. So that's a thing that happens at Queen of Heaven Cemetery. And Mount Carmel Cemetery is the resting place of both Julia Buccola Petta and Al Capone.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I texted my friend that I was going to meet her and we were going to go to Six Flags. And I texted her. I said, oh, my God, I just found Queen of Heaven and Mount Carmel right next to each other. I have to stop. I'm going to be a little bit late. And she said, okay, don't take too much time, but, yeah, go ahead and stop. So I decided to skip Queen of Heaven. So I decided to go to Mount Carmel. I visited Julia Buccola Petta's grave first. So Julia passed away in the early, I think it was the 1930s, early 1930s. She was in her early 20s. She died in childbirth. She had her wedding picture taken, and the statue on her grave is a bigger-than-life-size statue of her in her wedding dress in the exact same pose as she is in the photograph. It's a beautiful statue. It's a little getting a little worse for wear. The features of her face aren't as clear as they were in the 1930s, I'm quite sure. But her photograph is also on her tombstone. And this is a big Italian cemetery. So there are photographs on lots and lots of tombstones. I would venture to say at least half of the stones have pictures of the people on them, which is really neat. So anyway, Julia died, and her baby died too, and was buried with her. And soon after Julia died, her mother started having these terrible nightmares that Julia was alive, had been buried alive, and was trying to get out of her casket.
Oh.
So it took 6 years, but Julia's mother finally got permission to exhume the body. And they dug up Julia's grave, and they opened the casket, and the baby had turned to dust in Julia's arms. But Julia herself looked just as fresh as the day they buried her.
Oh.
And they took a picture of that, too. And that picture is also on the tombstone. I very much doubt that there's any other tombstone in that cemetery that has a picture that was taken 6 years after the person died.
That's weird.
And on the tombstone in Italian, it says, this picture was taken 6 years after death. So, yeah, super creepy.
Yeah.
But she looks like she's sleeping. It's the creepiest, weirdest thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then Al Capone is buried Julia Bicola Petta is buried right next to one of the gates of the cemetery, and Al Capone is buried right next to the gate that's side. So I drove to Al's grave, and I drove right past it the first time. There is a big stone that just says Capone. And you have to actually get out of the car, park and get out of the car, and he's right next to the road. And he's in a line with all of his relatives. And the thing that all the books say is, it just says, Alphonse Capone, 1899 to 1947, My Jesus Mercy. And you think, oh, wow, here's this big, bad, tough gangster, and he's come to the end of his life, and he's just throwing himself on the mercy of the afterlife and the spiritual thing, that he's finally found spirituality on his deathbed and whatnot. What the books don't tell you is that every stone in that line says, My Jesus Mercy. Every stone in that line has the person's name, their dates, and then the quote, My Jesus Mercy. I'm like, oh, well, okay. So I'm going to go back sometime because it's right next to the suburb where I grew up. So it's in Hillside, and I grew up in LaGrange, so right next to the suburb where I grew up. So I'm going to be back there several times during the year. So I'm going to go back and do a spirit box session out there, an EVP session or something. So
that sounds awesome.
But it was neat visiting Al Capone's grave.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going out there and seeing it.
Yeah.
During the day.
I don't think you can get in there at night.
Okay, good.
And it's one of those. Illinois law says that cemeteries are open from dawn till dusk, and after dusk you have to have special permission to be in there, or they just don't let you in. I visited another cemetery on my way home. We stayed so late at Six Flags that I was just like, I'm not driving home. And it started to rain, too, and it was torrential. I did not want to drive 2.5 hours to get back home in that sort of weather. So I stayed the night again in the suburbs. And Monday morning I drove home. And on my way home Monday morning, I stopped by Archer Woods Cemetery, which, again, is ridiculously close to LaGrange, super easy to find. So the lore about Archer Woods Cemetery, there are several things that happen. There is a crying woman. You can see her, after dark, you can see her from the road. She's been encountered during the daytime, but you never see her on your way into the cemetery. You only see her coming out, which is kind of weird. I didn't see her, unfortunately. I took a lot of pictures, and I have to go back and look at them. I don't think anything showed up, but I'll go back and I'll see. There is also a little section of the cemetery called Garden of Hymns, and there's a statue of organ pipes. And the lore for that is that if you walk up close to it, you can hear organ music playing. And had I mentioned it had rained torrentially all weekend, the soil was just saturated, and there were standing puddles of water. And I took one look at it, and I'm like, I'm not walking across that lawn. Ew. Big bad ghost hunter that I am. I didn't want to get my toes wet. So I skipped the Garden of Hymns. And there's also, you can see, every once in a while, you can see a black horse-drawn hearse outside the cemetery gates. And all I saw outside the cemetery gates was a garbage truck because it was Monday morning, and I don't think that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to go back there again, too, because it's not that big of a cemetery. And if I'd had more time, if I hadn't had to get back to my town for work at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I would have been happy to just park the car and just walk around the lanes of the cemetery because it's really pretty. By the time I got there, the rain had stopped and the clouds were parted and the sun was shining and there were Canada geese feeding all over the lawns, and it was just a really pretty place. So I definitely like to go back there again, too. And I did a quick EVP session there. There was, this is veering from ghost into cemetery art, but when I'm going to do a Lights Out episode about these two cemeteries, and I'll post this picture up on the YouTube version of the Lights Out episode somewhere in the future. But one of the pictures that I took, it was a marker that was in ground. It was one of those that lay flat so you can mow over it. But it was this young girl who had died when, I think I did the math, she was like 28. And she died very recently. And there was a hashtag. Her name was Sandra something or other. And there was a hashtag on her tombstone that said, #SandySpeaks. I don't know what that means. I'm not on Twitter, so I don't even know exactly what a hashtag is supposed to do. But there was a hashtag on her tombstone. And the artwork, there were 3 photographs of this young woman laminated onto her stone, and it was full color, and it was just the most beautiful tombstone I had ever seen in my life. It was really, really pretty. So I encourage people to watch the YouTube version of that particular Lights Out episode because that picture is going to be on there. It was just really gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
I'd never seen anything like it. It was all blue and gold and full color, and it was one of a kind. Never seen anything like it.
Yeah. I'm going to have to find out.
Definitely.
Yeah, sure beats, boring old white limestone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is right there.
Did you find it?
Yeah. #SandySpeaks refers to I'm here to change history. What did you say her name was?
Oh. Sandra, I'd have to look at my phone.
Oh, Sandra Bland?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Sandra Bland, 28 years old.
Yes.
Yeah, asserts her humanity by refusing to roll over and play slave for white officer Brian something, who had grown increasingly agitated by that refusal. So I think whoever did that, or maybe redid their tombstone, because it just sounds like it's...
Wow.
Yeah, it's right here.
See, I didn't... Yeah.
Yeah, Sandra Bland, who died while in police custody in Texas, has emerged as illuminating police violence against black women in a way that is finally resonating across the country. So #SandySpeaks is to change history and the way people are treated and stuff like that. So that's what that is. So yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I had no idea. You taught me something, Brian.
Yeah. Usually the other way around. Yeah. So. So when you go back there, now you know.
Now I know what questions to ask. So
Exactly.
cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and listen to that EVP session and see if she said anything. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go back there now.
Yeah.
Neat.
Absolutely. So we have run out of time, which is very sad. I wish, because obviously we could go forever. Well, the good thing is that it's not the end, because people can always listen to this episode, you can listen to other episodes that Sylvia has been on. And don't forget, you can go to YouTube and just type in Lights Out. All those episodes are on there. One in particular is probably the best because it includes me. So you might want to check that out. I forget which one it is.
Yeah, Brian's on one. I don't remember which number it is, but also, if people are interested in Chris, episode 55 of Lights Out is called The Boy in the Basement.
I'll have to listen to that. So, yeah. So if anyone would like any more information about Sylvia Shults, you can always visit her website, sylviashults.com. All of her books.
And sylviashults.wordpress.com is a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that one too. Yeah. sylviashults.wordpress.com. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. And you can find most of her books as well. Actually, all of her books usually are on Amazon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you have to read her books. Yes.
And I'm writing more all the time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That's probably going to be the next time. Yeah, that's probably going to be the next time I'm on the show is when a new book comes out.
Wow.
So nothing before the end of the year. We have to wait.
Yeah, probably not. It's this pesky full-time job thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I hear you. I go through the same thing. So.
Yeah. But I am doing research on 2 books right now. So I have 2 books planned, and then I have the next couple after that worked out too.
Okay.
So it just takes time to write.
Sure, absolutely. And of course, we don't need to wait until October for you to come back on. So whenever you're ready.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just let us know, please, because everyone loves tuning in.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Of course.
So, yeah.
And since you guys have such a big Facebook presence and the Facebook Live going on, I'll tell you that when I do the calendar book, that's what I'm going to do is open it up for people to tell me their birthdays, and I'll tell you what ghost story is on your birthday.
Oh, neat. Awesome.
Yeah. I figured that was a good way to run that particular show.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I'll have to for that because I'll have to tell you my birthday and see what happens. So.
Yeah. So tell people to tune in. I know they will because I know they love the Brian and Sherry show. And just let them know. If you put it in the comments, put in your birthday, and we'll see what ghost story comes up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, all right. So it's time to go. Unfortunately, time just went right out the window. Brian's giving me the message. It's over, and I'm like, what?
It's over.
I
Yeah.
have to look just to make sure.
The countdown has stopped. Like there's no more countdown. It doesn't even say on air anymore, but it still keeps going. Thank God.
I heard her say 90 seconds. I'm like, is that 90 seconds till break or 90 seconds till we're done?
Done. Yeah.
I think we're done. Oh my gosh.
I know. We're gonna have to do this again then.
We do. Yes.
Definitely. We should have you on again. We'll talk. My people will be.
I'll pencil you in.
Yes. Don't forget, everyone, on Facebook Live, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video. Don't forget, you can also find us on Blog Talk Radio, which that's what our show is through, so you can follow us on there as well. Don't forget, we're always on the go. Like Sylvia Shults' podcast, we're also on iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio and all those good ones.
iHeartRadio, that was the other one, yeah.
Yeah. So check us out, and don't forget our next show is next Thursday at 9 o'clock as usual. So, yeah. And for people out there, we are looking for places to visit to either learn about some history here in Berkshire County or possibly do a investigation of our own. So, yeah. So if anyone here has...
Where are you guys in New York? Where are you guys in the state?
Oh, boy. I have clarified this with you, Sylvia. We are located. We are located in Western Massachusetts.
Oh.
Yeah.
I keep saying New York. Why do I keep saying New York?
Well, because we're 45.
Massachusetts. You've got a wealth of stuff there.
I know.
Massachusetts is a wonderful place for ghost stories.
It is. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
So,
You've got Plymouth.
I know. I'm thinking about the possibility of doing Salem again. I'm not sure, though. Yeah, the last time was not very eventful. Anyways, yeah, so we'll see. All right, but
you should do that lantern ghost tour at Plymouth. You should do what's her name, Jackie? Oh, I'll have to find it for you. But yeah, you should do that lantern ghost tour in Plymouth, Massachusetts. That rocks out loud. That is so much fun.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Well, send me the information, or if you have any, or I'll look it up or whatnot. So
I will. Yeah.
All right, everyone.
Tell her I sent you.
Oh, I will definitely if we ever go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the show and watching the show. Don't forget, you can also find more information about our show by going to our website, which is briansherryshow.org, and, of course, our Facebook, which you're already on, but I'll say it anyways, facebook.com/Brian.Sherry.Show. And that is it. Any last words, Sherry or Sylvia?
I just wanted to thank everyone for showing up and tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, and thank you so much for having me on the show, guys.
Sure.
Thanks for coming. This is great. Thank you all for listening and watching. Everyone have a spectacular night, and we'll see you next Thursday. Same time, same place.